And so I did want to have that on the record that this is in accordance with Executive Order 65. And I want to thank Kirsten for coordinating all of this and getting us set up this evening. And so with that in mind, I will let you all take the meeting from here and we will conduct it as usual. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and officially call our Planning Commission to order. And I'll start us out with an invocation. Father God, I just thank you for this new way to conduct our Planning Commission this evening, that we can consider the cases in front of our city. And I just ask that you give us wisdom as we consider the cases in front of us. Thank you. Amen. So first order of business is roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Member Friesen. Member Friesen.
Tapping the space bar and holding it down is like a microphone key, so you might be able to try that.
Does that work?
Yes, I heard you.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Member Lehman. Member Moody.
Here.
Vice Chairman Givens.
Here.
Chairwoman Gray.
Here. Next item on our agenda is the minutes from our previous meeting.
Move to approve.
You're muted.
Second.
My space bar is not cooperating. So I think we're going to need two separate motions here because we have minutes for what's probably our final design review meeting, which was held August 10th. So let's do those minutes first, and then we'll do our Planning Commission minutes after that. So I'll entertain a motion for the design review minutes from August 10th, please. Do I have a motion for approval on those?
I'll take a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay.
Commissioner White.
Yay.
Member Friesen. Member Friesen.
Yay.
Member Gray.
Yes.
Chairman Givens.
Yes.
Okay, next we'll vote the minutes of our Planning Commission from August 10th. And I need a motion on those, please.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay.
Commissioner White.
Yay.
Member Friesen.
Yay.
Member Moody.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Givens.
Yes.
Chairwoman Gray.
Yes. Okay, we don't have any old business to address this evening, so we'll go to our first case on new business. And I see that Mr. Jones has joined us. Can we do a quick, well, should we do a mic check now or later? Kirsten, let's go ahead and just make sure we can hear you, Mr. Jones. If you can unmute yourself and just say hi or something.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay, you can go ahead and mute yourself at this point to look at zoning case 2020-02. 10701 Lee Highway. I'll pass that to staff, our presentation, and then we'll have discussion. Thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second to start the presentation. Okay, so this is our agenda. Okay, this is zoning case 2020-02, as Ruthie said, for 10701 Lee Highway. The request is to rezone an MUBC mixed-use business center property to agricultural. The property was originally rezoned in 1998 from residential rural to commercial, and then subsequently annexed into the city in 2012. The city applied the commercial zoning in that same year. However, no commercial activity has happened on this property, as we have explained in the agenda packet that you've all received. Originally in 1998, it was intended to become a heating and air facility for a company, but that we were not able to verify that ever took place. In 2014, a mobile home was removed from the property, and since then the property has sat vacant. As you can see on this map in our presentation, towards the northeast, the property is zone C2. Towards the northwest, it's the county property, which is right now zoned agricultural and belongs to the applicant for this property for the request. We have further zoning for agricultural to the southeast. Most of these properties run empty. As you are probably familiar with it, to the northeast, we have a borrow pit that's right now currently being remediated due to some activity there. This is the current property. No activity has taken place on it. The applicant is requesting this rezoning because he is intending to use it or potentially using it for residential use in the future. And agricultural seems fitting with the land use plan that we have in place. Here you see the zoning history that I have just referred to. In the 20 years that this property was annexed and rezoned into the city, it has not been used for anything other than residential uses. The land use plan further supports a rezoning to agricultural, as this is more of the fringe area of our city. We do not anticipate commercial development in this area due to there not being sewer, and we also don't anticipate that sewer will be extended in the foreseeable future. Surrounding uses and zones are compatible with the request, and therefore staff approves the rezoning of the subject property to agricultural from the current zone of MUBC. We can now entertain any questions that you may have. I will stop sharing the screen for a second so we can all see each other.
Okay, is there discussion? Mr. Jones, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I also I just closed on the burrow pit that's right behind, it butts right up against this property. And again, I intend on hopefully converting that, if this is approved, converting that over to agricultural and residential as well. I just haven't requested it because I just closed on it at the end of last week.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful.
I move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Member Friesen, Member Friesen,
Do you hear me? Yes.
Member Moody,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Givens,
Yes.
Chairwoman Gray,
Yes. Okay, thank you all. Our next item of business is,
Ruthie, give
go
me
ahead.
1 second.
Sure.
Mr. Jones, you may log off unless you want to continue watching the video, but thank you for attending. And I'll send you some paperwork after this meeting is complete.
Great. Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You too.
And
Bye-bye.
Mr. Jones, this will be heard at the Board of Commissioners. It'll probably be in January. It takes 2 readings and then it will become effective after that. And that's will be in some
Okay.
of the paperwork that Kirsten sends you.
Yeah,
So let you
sorry
know.
All
about
right.
that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a good
I
evening.
appreciate that. You too. Thanks, guys.
Okay, our next case is 2020-03. It's also a zoning case of 5503 Main Street.
Thank you, Kirsten. This property, if you recall, was annexed by the city earlier this year. And as we discussed earlier about property that was annexed in 2012, Mr. Jones, after annexation, the city must at that point apply a permanent zone. This property was zoned C3 in unincorporated Hamilton County. This is the Whistle Stop property. And now that it's annexed in Collegedale, we are required to apply permit zoning in the city. And staff has reviewed this case along with the annexation and determined that the most compatible use that allows the occupant, the owner, to conduct business that they intend to use and also meet the form of this business and the new building. The most compatible zone would be MUTC. And so that is what we're recommending as permanent zoning. And note that the applicant is the city of Collegedale and not the property owner. And this is just simply a follow-up of the earlier annexation.
Okay, is there discussion?
I move to approve.
A second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Member Friesen,
Yay.
Member Moody,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Givens,
Yes.
Chairwoman Gray,
Yes. Okay, our last item on the agenda tonight is an update to our design standards. And I'll pass that to staff.
And Kirsten and I both, I know that we've discussed this in the past at Planning Commission meetings about streamlining the process. And so Kirsten and I will tag team this. She's worked to outline some of the changes that we've discussed, and we've tried to highlight some of those as well, and we'll entertain questions as they arise. And I do say this knowing that it was a little while before our last, since our last meeting. So yeah, if you do have any questions, we will do our best to clarify those as we go forward. So I will let Kirsten discuss some of the particulars of it, but our current process, as was outlined here, we're trying to consolidate the design review along with the other landscaping and other site design issues and plans that we review on a continual basis, including signage, landscaping, and that sort of thing. And that up until this point, we felt that design review has been a separate process, and sometimes you can't really separate all of that. And so that's one of the attempts that, or one of our motivations for proposing this. And I'll let Kirsten describe some of the details. And
So let me skip forward. Give me 1 second to get the slide to work. Okay, so the current process is pretty much that people have to, or applicants have to file their application by the 20th of the month with us. Then I have about 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks to review, work some problems out with them before it's being heard at the design review committee. sometimes we work issues out within 2 days, and I would be able to approve a project because it then meets the ordinance requirements and the intent. Currently, there is a delay worked into this because they have to come to the design review committee. Often that involves an architect traveling from out of state for a 2-minute meeting in which I present, and there are usually no objections because we have worked out most issues. Also, it causes a delay in the development project overall, as all other parts of the development are on pause until that approval is given. So no site review is taking place, no landscape, no signage, no building review is taking place until that approval has been given. That can sometimes result in a 2-month delay to get started on a project that could potentially get started on at least site review within 2 days, or things could have ran simultaneously. So we've done some research to see what other cities are doing, and we found that another city in the region has recently updated their design review ordinance to allow for more extensive staff review. So this is what we're proposing to you right now, is that the initial application is made to staff for review, which gives us about 2 weeks of review time and working out any kinks until we get to approval or a denial. If I'm or Kelly are unable to make a recommendation or a decision at that point, we reserve the right to bring the application to the then planning commission, who will function as the design review committee, for a decision there. The applicant may also request to send it to the planning commission if they are unsatisfied with my decision, or if they would rather skip ahead and just take it to the planning commission. That is their option. The city commission would serve as the appeals committee in that case. So if the applicant is then unsatisfied with the decision of the planning commission, they can request to go to the city commission within 30 days to get their case heard there. We have made some other changes to the ordinance, which are minor, but will position us as development staff in a, in a more favorable position for the city. We have made some changes to we have taken out the mixed use definition out of commercial to be a standalone variable in that ordinance, to give it a little more power, as that has been a point of discussion with developments in the past. How this design review particularly focuses on mixed use because that we anticipate that being the future in the city. We have also improved pedestrian access and circulation, especially in multifamily residential development, meaning that internal walkways have to connect to any existing like walkways, sidewalks adjacent to the property. We have also made a change to, or we added a provision for bicycle parking. So now commercial development and multifamily development will have to provide 5 spaces, which is a small bicycle rack, as we're trying to promote more multimodal transportation in the city. This is a small step towards achieving that, which we hope will be successful. Some of these things are required in other cities. So this shouldn't be anything new or of contention to developers. Kelly, you have something?
One thing I want to add is that the current ordinance, it has been a work in progress, like many are, as we adapt to changing circumstances. And this ordinance anticipated a gun barrel road type of development. It is our interpretation, and that's our feeling. And that type of development is not thriving currently, but we are seeing other types of development, as Kirsten discussed. Mixed uses is something that we're seeing, and that's been a buzzword for a long time, but we're starting to see a more earnest look at integrating some of these uses, because retail has been decimated, as we know, brick and mortar, by COVID-19, and then before that, just the migration to online purchases. that has been accelerated by COVID-19. So the ordinance proposal that we have before you, it does anticipate different types of uses and not just that gun barrel road style commercial development. And it's really beyond that, it's more about process. The actual standards themselves, just a point to make, don't change. There's no proposal to change that with the heavy materials and all of that. That's not what this revision intends to change. It's simply mostly the process, and then the way it's been applied in the past. We just saw room for improvement. So the materials and that we've been successful with, we're not changing that. We don't see any need to do that.
You guys have any questions?
Yeah, is weigh-ins part of the staff review? Is that correct?
Well, usually staff review is done by me. However, we have weekly staff meetings between Andrew, Kelly, Wayne, and I, where we discuss these cases. So all of us have looked at it. We have discussed it, especially if there's something more controversial, where I will not make the decision alone. This is a community effort.
Yeah, I just think, just from an engineering perspective
Yeah.
too, right, to have weigh in on that. And then one of the things that stood out to me, and maybe Wayne can communicate a little bit here, the basis on the 3-to-1 slopes, and then 2.5-to-1 slopes, in some cases, ditches and that kind of stuff. Do we need to be a little bit more specific on the grades that we're talking about, length of slope, et cetera? As people are doing their site grading and those types of things. Just got to be careful what we try to box people in at and what they're having to. I understand what the intent there is, but from some of that, I would challenge that maybe even a 2-to-1 is not untypical even in a ditch line, right? So does that take into account those grades as well in that modification there?
So that modification, we were basically copying what Tony did in Chattanooga. And the intention is more for large slopes, not specifically ditch slopes or things like that, because a ditch, for instance, will be reinforced and matted or stoned or things like that.
We also have a provision in the ordinance that has not changed. It has been there to allow minor modifications if staff or the committee sees fit. So depending on the situation, if a different slope, if a steeper slope is required to make something work, that is something we can definitely discuss. The ordinance enables us to do that. However, we think that this provision is needed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely don't disagree with it. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a situation where we're consistently having to have conversations about grades, right?
Absolutely.
And so if there's a little bit more clarity or color we can put around that to get over the intent of what we're trying to ask the developers to adhere to, that might go a long way, right? If it's length of slope, if we're talking about grading the side of a hill, that's one thing, right? But if you're getting into, the side of the yard and the total length is only like a 4-foot linear slope, right? Why couldn't that be at a 2-to-1, right? So that's the kind of stuff that may help from a staff review time as well. So just a suggestion, doesn't necessarily have to change here, but just an awareness.
So if I understand you, you're speaking of a matter of scale here. Where does that apply? At what scale does that begin to apply?
You got it, Kelly.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's more or less just if the intent is so that somebody doesn't go grade a hillside at a 2-to-1 and it's 500 feet long, right? That creates a challenge for somebody to maintain it. It creates a challenge. Erosion velocities, all those types of things that go into them stabilizing it as well. But just I get the intent of that, but maybe I guess my suggestion is around what the intent of that is from a scalability standpoint.
I hate to say it's one of those things, you know it when you see it. That's not the answer that I think we intend to give, but we can probably assure that's applied in the way that you're talking about, because I think that's a common sense approach, and we can assure that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Wayne, what I'm trying to articulate there a little bit on, just general site grading around a property?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying and agree with you. And we can get a little bit more clarity and make sure that the application meets the intent. Because we really are talking about large graded slopes with large amounts of elevation changes with no benching at very steep slopes, not the last 2 feet in elevation at the edge of a yard.
Right, exactly. And I knew that was the intent there, but it's pretty black and white in the terms of the text there. So
you sound like an engineer.
Way to say the least.
We have that. Yeah, we have that back and forth with Wayne a lot too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the streamlined process for people who come in, and it'll just be a lot more user-friendly for them. And then I just like to ask that we get some sort of update to Planning Commission whenever we meet, so we have an idea of what's going in and what different things have been approved, just so we're in the loop, even if we're not physically approving the cases or that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to give updates at Planning Commission meetings. That way also residents can watch it on YouTube, or if they're present, learn about what we've approved and what is coming to the city.
Agree. We've had internal staff conversations that would be appropriate for the commissioner, so you can see what is being approved, and you can see how that may tie in holistically with the other site review that we do automatically. And I say we, I'm talking about staff, site and civil review, landscaping, and the like. So we agreed that would be an addition. We would definitely supply that.
Great, thank you.
Kelly and I'd had this discussion a few months ago about the need to look at this, and so I appreciate the work that you've done on it.
Thank you. Kirsten went through it with a pretty critical view to see what, and we've had staff discussions to kind of stress test it and see what's really applicable and what's not. And so that's how we've arrived at the product that we're bringing forward. And just to reiterate, the Planning Commission would be, under state law, can be designated the Design Review Commission, and that's what would essentially happen through this ordinance as well, is that there still is a Design Review Commission, but it would be the Planning Commission, which is allowed by state law.
And then maybe just touch on the lighting ordinance update there for the foot candles. I think specifically, I guess we feel pretty good about setting that out there as a guideline, and maybe how that's sections changed a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to be a light bulb that people can see from miles away, just because of, I enjoy being able to see the stars at night because of where I live, right? So what specifically in that lighting section changed significantly there?
We haven't changed much, other than that it now is also applicable to multifamily residential developments. As we've had issues in the past, getting appropriate lighting installed, that helps us just ensure that there is appropriate lighting on these larger developments. The requirements are pretty strict, especially if there is single family, residential adjacent to whatever development, is subject to these standards. And that's pretty much what I have paid close attention to also in the previous design review cases that I've presented to you throughout the year, to not, cause light pollution on adjacent properties.
And a point I would like to make is that previously, as Kirsten said, we've had some issues with multifamily occasionally, but we've also had situations where multifamily, we have asked them to comply with the lighting requirements. Although technically in a hard review, we discovered they are not bound by the same requirements, and that would change that difference between multifamily and purely commercial. So while we've had some who have complied with it just out of a request, really we didn't have much to back that with. This will change that.
Okay, any other comments? I'm guessing we're looking for a motion tonight. So any more discussion, or if anybody's ready to make a motion, that works as well.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Member Friesen,
Yay.
Member Moody,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Givens,
Yes.
Chairwoman Gray.
Yes. And that's the end of our agenda this evening. Does staff have any final notes or anything?
No, just thank you for being so open to participating in this.
And the governor's executive order expires December 27th, but I suspect this may be extended simply because of the growth in the cases and through the holidays. We'll play that by ear. We'll see what happens after the 27th as we get into the January meeting. So we'll keep you updated on that.
And Kelly, I just got an email over the weekend from the governor's office. It will be extended.
I thought it probably would be, just with numbers and all.
So we will probably be meeting the same way. Expect an email from me with an invite for the link, and once we have an agenda ready, and a staff recommendation for anything that will be on the agenda.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the extra effort you guys have put in to make meeting this way possible so we can all move forward. And with that, I will adjourn our planning commission. Thank you all very much for being here this evening.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kirsten, for all your hard work.
No problem.